The 911 Carrera market just flipped. After setting a record decline of 8.5% during 2024, we're now seeing a massive price surge.
In today's video, we break down exactly what happened in the 911 Carrera market. How much have prices gone up and what could be behind it? Does the trend apply to all generations? And will prices continue to climb?
Let's dive straight into the data. We'll start with the US market and have a look at the German market at the end of the video. We start with the 992.1 generation. Over here we can see the price trend for the two-wheel drive base and S models, and we can see that there was a massive turnaround in prices. Look at that rebound over here. Prices started to decline quicker in the second half of 2023 after a fairly stable development in 2024. 2025 though marks a massive change. The first price increase happened between February and May, and prices continued to increase till August. So in a period of 6 months, prices increased by 4.4% in the S market and 3.2% in the base market. The yearly price change sits now at plus 2% for the S models and plus 0.3% for the base models.
Now these numbers are averages for clean title cars and apply to most of the models in the market. Of course, I looked at various splits. High mileage cars, for example, increased slightly less, but the differences are small.
I also looked at the T and GTS models, and prices also increased over there during the last 6 months, albeit slightly less in the GTS market.
Now 911 Carreras that have been tampered with or have severe damage might not have increased in price. Moreover, if you unknowingly buy such a car for the price of a clean title one, you'll take a financial hit, since prices for damaged or tampered vehicles are much lower. The best way to prevent buying such a car is by checking the car's report on Car Vertical.
By using my promo code FWT, you get a 20% discount. Based on the pictures, this 911 Carrera seems like a decent car. However, the report raises an alarm about the mileage. If we look at the mileage overview, we can see that this car might have a falsified mileage. It increased to roughly 94,000 miles in 2015 and was then reduced to roughly 64,000 miles. We can also see that the vehicle had 12 different owners, which could indicate inconsistent maintenance or unresolved issues. On top of all of this, the report can also show you plenty of other information such as damage history and theft registration.
You can use my discount code FWT to get 20% off your Car Vertical report. Checking the report costs only a fraction of what you could lose by unknowingly buying a tampered car.
Back to the 992 Carreras. What's driving the price increase? Given the timing of the price increase, it seems likely that the tariff increases are partially to blame. Until the end of March, Porsche paid a tariff of 2.5%. This pre-Trump tariff was directly accounted for in the MSRP. In the beginning of April, this increased by an additional 25% tariff on imported vehicles and parts. This 25% was fully absorbed by Porsche and brought the total tariff up to 27.5%. In July, the EU and USA agreed on a deal in which car tariffs are reduced to 15% once the EU completes their part of the deal. Things are changing quickly though, and new information could be released after this video is recorded.
Now Porsche always communicated that they absorbed the tariffs. At the same time though, they increased MSRP by substantial amounts and used other reasons as motivations for the price increases.
In March they announced that pricing for model year 2026 will increase by 6.4%. Bringing the roughly $122,000 price tag for a base Carrera up to approximately $130,000. In July, they increased prices again by approximately 3.6% due to quote-unquote market conditions. This pushed the price of a base 911 up to $134,650. This means that in a time span of a few months, prices increased by more than 10%.
Now if you make the new cars more expensive, the used ones become better value for money. This of course causes an increase in demand for used cars, which in turn also causes price increases in the used market.
It's not just the Carrera market in which this is happening. A few weeks ago we saw that prices also increased in the GT3 market.
Now if the 992.1s are getting more expensive, does this mean that the 991s, 997s and 996s are also shifting up?
Yes, at least to some extent. The effect is most profound in the 991 market. Over here we have the trends for the base, S and GTS models. We can see that prices increased during the last 6 months, but that the effect is much smaller than in the 992.1 market. The 991.2 has performed well since the beginning of 2023 and continued now on its set path. GTSs are up by 6.1%, S models by 1.4%, and base models by 0.4%. Out of these price changes, only the one for the GTS is statistically confirmed. This means that the other changes can be the result of chance. We're looking at a snapshot of the market after all, and the market varies slightly from day to day. Prices also increased in the 991.1 market. This market has been performing fantastically for a long time. Recent increases only add to the attractiveness of the dot ones. Last year, prices increased by 3.7% in the base market, by 2.1% in the S market, and 11.1% in the GTS market. Both the dot one and dot two GTSs appear to be in high demand.
Now as we move into the 9 and 7 market, supply decreases rapidly, so we need to be a bit more careful with the numbers.
The dot one base and S models are stable as ever and might have increased slightly. Compared to last year, base models are up by 7.1% and S's by 5%. The GTSs are rare and prices rather extreme. There is some noise in the trend, but it's clear that prices have been rising during last year. The trend shows an increase of 30%, but this is a bit on the high side because the market composition also changed quite a lot. Correcting for this, we arrive at an increase of 18%. That brings us to the 9 and 7.1, and I think you get the idea by now. Prices have been stable since mid-2023 and recently increased slightly. S's are up by 4.5% and base models by 4.2%. These changes aren't confirmed, but it's clear that this is a strong market.
Let's continue now with the last model, the 9 and 6.
Things didn't really change compared to the previous market update or compared to the last 3 years for that matter. 9 and 6 prices are extraordinarily stable. Dot one base models lost 0.4% during last year and dot two base models 1.6%. The S's lost 2.3%. And note that these are the 4 S's. I didn't want to display the drive wheel configuration split, so that's why you don't see it. Looking at the historical trend, it's clear that these changes are the result of chance and don't represent market shifts.
That were quite a lot of numbers. Let's plug them now into the overview chart and assess how the market shifted.
Over here we have the year-over-year price changes for last year aggregated by generation. It's clear that the 9 and 2 market made a massive turn from increasing depreciation to price increases. The 9 and 1 market fluctuated around the 0 point, but now shifted quite far to the right due to the 11% increase in the dot one GTS market and 6% in the dot two market. If you remove the GTSs, you end up at plus 1.2%. The 9 and 7 market always fluctuated a bit around the 0 points, but now clearly shifted towards the positive side. The 9 and 6 market has been stable with exception of the year-over-year decrease in March. There we saw larger decreases due to low mileage 4Ss. Nevertheless, across the board the Carrera market strengthened, most notably in the 9 and 2 market. GTSs in the 9 and 1 market pushed the result up over there, and the 9 and 7 market in general also increased.
Now it's important to point out that this is a USA issue only. The German market is strong as well, but 9 and 2 Carrera prices are falling, not increasing.
Over here I added the German market in euros to the graph. The US market is still displayed in dollars. We can see now that the situation is completely different in Germany than in the US. The German trend is pointing down and there are absolutely no indications that it will turn up. Compared to last year, prices are down by 6.1% in the base market and 5.6% in the S market. The depreciation curve is flattening indeed, but that's only natural. Inserting the German market to the overview, we can see that there are also some other differences to the US. 9 and 1s mainly fall just on the negative side of the 0 point in Germany, whereas they are on the positive side in the US. US price increases might be responsible for this. 9 and 7s in Germany are up by a small amount, but not as much as in the US. The 9 and 6 market in turn is slightly stronger in Germany, but the difference is relatively small.
Now the big question is of course if prices will continue to climb. But I don't really make predictions on this channel. I merely speculate. Reliable predictions require a validated model, something that I don't have.
So let's speculate. The price increase seems to be driven by the MSRP increases in the 9 and 2 generation, and it's worthwhile to look a bit closer to that market. Based on the inventory data, I think that the largest increases might already be behind us. If we look at the carried over inventory rate, so the percentage of cars that have been for sale for more than 3 months, we can see that 9 and 2s indeed have been selling quicker during the previous quarters. The market is hot, and based on this, one could argue that prices might increase further. The average rate is 30%, so 12% is exceptionally low.
However,
if we look at the price changes for cars that didn't sell within 3 months, we can see that the worst increase might be behind us. Typically, these rates have a strong seasonal pattern. In the summer, sellers are confident that they can sell a car, so they decrease prices only by a small amount if it doesn't sell within 3 months. In the winter, the decrease is larger. This year, sellers even increased prices if the car didn't sell. This must be because they saw market prices going up. As you can see, the only time that this happened was at the top of the pandemic price surge. Now though, we can see that the rate is back again below zero, similar to the situation in August 23. And this signifies that the upward momentum might be already weakening.
The same applies to the inventory situation in the 991, 997 and 996 markets. But everything could flip again if Porsche decides to increase prices even further. For now though, it seems likely to me that the price curve shifted up and will continue on its original path after the adjustment. And with that we arrived at the end of the video, but there are still two things you need to know. First, I didn't include any splits by transmission, because I will make a separate video addressing the question whether or not manuals increase more than automatics in the Porsche market. Second, if you like this data-driven way of analyzing videos but would like to see a video for a different car, head over to my channel. Over there you find detailed analysis for a large variety of cars. Can't find the car you're looking for? Let me know the name of the car by commenting it down below in the comment section. Once there are enough requests for a car, I'll make a video about it. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in 2 weeks for a fresh market update.